Hello everyone, welcome back. Smothered Run here once again, also known as 47th Ronin over in the Shogunate YouTube Discord server. This is my first upload for the Shogunate Total War Tournament 2020. We're here at Lowlands and we have, with the black and white banners representing the Amako, is Musketeer 177, and over here with the green and white representing the Urakami is Ludwig. Pop the map open for you. We have three key buildings here. I'll go through them first and then I'll go through the army setups. Over here, closest to Musketeer, we have the shrine. Over here, closest to Ludwig, we have the farmhouse. And over here, sort of halfway in between, but definitely closer to Ludwig based on how they deployed, we have the workshop. The workshop and the shrine are essentially, arguably, the two best buildings in the game, and each player has a chance to get one of each. So this could be an interesting battle. I'll go through Ludwig's deployment and army because it's quite interesting. One I haven't personally sort of faced, and used correctly would be an absolute beast to face. So Ludwig has a front line of 4 Nodachis, but he's also got a 5th one hiding. He has 2 Naginata warrior monks. One of them's a veteran, and he might have another one in hiding. We'll have to take a look. Of course, his general. And oh my gosh, look at all this cavalry. Look at all of that cavalry. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count them, 5 Yari cavalry, and then 3 Katana cavalry. Now, depending on how he uses the Katana cavalry, they can either be an asset or a liability. If you use Katana cavalry like a lot of people do, and they use them against cavalry, they are terrible. They have, as you can see, they don't have any cavalry bonus. There we go. There's no bonus to cavalry, unlike the Yari cavalry or light cavalry like what Musketeer brought. Katana cavalry are only good at fighting infantry, particularly sword infantry or ranged or siege units. They are useless, near useless against other cavalry. So, now you would say, oh, a line of 5 Nodachis, 3 warrior monks, why would you need Katana cavalry? Well, why not? If you're building a rush army, why not bring some Katana cavalry and use them to tie down infantry? Because you can use, especially against an army like Musketeer brought, you would use, I know I would use my Nodachis to hit his spears, to hit basically anything that my Katana cavalry would get tied up by. So his Musketeer's spears would be a great target for my Nodachis. Musketeer's spears would also be a great target for my Naginata warrior monks. His swords and ranged units would be juicy targets for these Katana cavalry. So, let's see how he does. Over on Musketeer's side, fairly standard army. I've played Musketeer several times in Avatar Conquest and a couple times in Classic Battles, and this is a fairly standard army for him. It's a ranged army, ranged corps essentially, if you want to call it. He's got 2 bow warrior monks, 2 bow samurai, 2 matchlock ashigaru, 1, 2, 3 Yari Samurai, 2 Yari Ashigaru, and then 1, 2, 3 Katana Samurai, 1 Nodachi Samurai. And then we have Yari Cavalry, and then 2 Light Cavalry. So, instantly, right off the bat, we're going to give the cavalry advantage to Ludwig, having just sheer numbers, 5 to 4. As well as having 5 Yaris versus 2 Yari Cav and 2 Light Cavalry. Now, that's not to say that Musketeer's army isn't going to win. In fact, if Musketeer uses his army properly, he can win. Now, Musketeer chose the map. Once again, it's Lowlands, and it's important to note that since Musketeer chose the army, chose the map, he has to be the attacker. Ludwig's under no obligation to wait. If Ludwig wants to rush, and he brought a rush army, he doesn't have to wait. So at the moment, Musketeer is moving his entire army to capture the shrine. I don't know if that's necessarily what I would do, but that's okay. So being that he's the attacker, or supposed to be the attacker, Musketeer must be always moving to engage, flank, or skirmish. So that is what he's doing now. We're all good. Like I said, Ludwig's not having any of it. Ludwig is just basically going to set the tone. And instead of waiting for Musketeer to make an action, he's going to force Musketeer to react to everything he does. As we can see right now, what looks like an ambush patrol is actually Ludwig setting up to get his cavalry into the flanks and hidden for the most part, although he starts running them right away. So, and again, this is... No, Musketeer does get very aggressive with his cavalry, which I always like to see, but I don't know if I would not necessarily have done it this way. I don't want to give too much away here, but if you're going to charge superior numbers with inferior numbers, you need to support them. Unfortunately, he doesn't. So here's what, I will just pause it here. Here's what Musketeer does. He grabs a two Yari cavalry. I don't know if I would have led with that. And then his two light cavalry. He's going to charge all of them into basically 1 or 2 units. What I would have maybe done... Now, he does some of this right. Credit where credit's due. Now, this part was good. He's got 1 unit tying down 1, 2... Going to tie down 4 units, possibly even 5. What he should have done immediately with this Yari cavalry and these 2 light cavalry is start flanking, and not to the right, but to the left, and hit from the flanks. Probably sacrifice this 1 unit that's already lost a good chunk, but sacrifice this 1 unit and use the flanking penalties, use the attacked in the rear penalties to help rout your opponent's cavalry, as well as at the same time get your bows, get your matchlocks, and get some spears over there. You have Yari Samurai, use rapid advance and get over there as fast as you can to tie down his cavalry. Ludwig's army, being the army that it is highly susceptible. If you're able to tie down and destroy his cavalry, you can beat him. The army that Ludwig brought can be beaten if you do it properly. Now he is going to throw in a katana cavalry, which is essentially going to throw it away, just because katana cavalry are once again horrible at anti-cavalry. Musketeer is getting his Yaris over. Unfortunately, they're just Ashigaru, and you're seeing 100% committal here instead of an ordered response or an ordered attack. You're seeing 100% committal of all the units and no backup for those matchlocks. Now, let's talk matchlocks quickly. If you're going to bring matchlocks, please use them properly. I realize when you're trying to react to what an opponent is doing and you're trying to set yourself up in a defensive position, you're trying to move quickly. It's very difficult, but the thing to remember is to get your matchlocks into a nice long line, similar to this sort of a formation. Nice long line to get into them. Oh, those katana cavalry took a big hit from those spears, but like this, and when they're shooting like this, and I'll zoom in for you, you're only going to see the front rank actually shoot. All of these other Ashigaru might as well not be there. They might as well be staying at home. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're going to use matchlocks, use them effectively. Use them properly. Now, once again, you're going to see basically almost a 100% committal in terms of spears. So now Musketeer has 0 coverage for all this other cavalry, and this is where things start to go horribly wrong. Ludwig has a unit of Yari cavalry here free to charge into either swords, bows, or his general, as well as he's got You got a couple katana cavalries over here ready to charge into bows. This entire area is exposed now because of all of the committal of spears over to the matchlock area. So, essentially what Ludwig has done is divide up Musketeer, spread him out way too wide. I don't think Musketeer even gets a chance to get into stand and fight or even get a rally off. Now you'll notice none of these you'll notice that none of these Nodachis have even bonsai'd yet. So the moment they're basically glorified. Oh, and they're walking in Yari Wall, which won't get them very quick. They're basically walking, you know, very powerful Yari Ashigaru at this point, these Nodachi Samurai. They're not really that great. They didn't get a charge, they didn't get a bonsai. So they can be handled fairly well. Now what Ranger does well is he's got one unit of Yari Samurai blobbing up and holding down 3, maybe even 4. What he would need to do, had his swords not been hit by all of that katana cavalry, is get his swords over into the rear of those units of Nodachis and warrior monks. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen, and we're going to see the end of this battle fairly quickly. Still has cavalry running roughshod all over Musketeer's rear, and yeah, here we have mass rout started, and basically ignoring all of the ranged units because he doesn't need to focus on them. He's got a chance to hit the general, he's got a chance to hit the rear of the lines. A war cry from the warrior monks has been popped, and this will spell the end of the first match for Musketeer. So I'll just sort of zoom in. We can get a couple little Oops, I said I'll zoom in and we'll get a couple cinematics if we can. Because everybody likes seeing...
Our general has been injured, my lord. He lives, but must leave the battle.
And now we just see a whole bunch of cavalry running all over the place and killing basically everything they touch. That was a good strike there. Good work. So, despite not getting proper... Oh, look at these charges here. This cavalry is...
Our men are running from the battlefield! Shameful display!
Now, if you're going to use an army like one that Musketeer brought, you have to make sure you're skirmishing effectively to deal with the sheer numbers of cavalry that he brought, that Ludwig brought. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that's the end of part 1. We're going to start into part 2 right away. Hope you enjoyed. So right now, Ludwig is up 1-0. We'll see what happens in the second battle. Hello everyone, welcome back. Here is game 2 between Musketeer and Ludwig. Ludwig picked the map. This is rice fields, so he is now the designated attacker. Of course, if they end up at a stalemate over buildings, it'll be Ludwig that has to attack. Although, based on his playstyle from the first game, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. So we have the shrine as one key building. We have the farmhouse again right in the middle, and we have the good second place / really close to first place building, just like the shrine and the workshop. We have the sword dojo. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting battle because they're two very good key buildings to fight for on the flanks. I'll go over Ludwig's army once again, and then I'll go through Musketeer's army. So we have over here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Nodachis. And 1, 2, 3 Naginata warrior monks, just like last time. We have 3 katana cavalry. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think possibly 5, but well, probably 4 Yari cavalry. What's that? 5, 8, 9, 12, 16. Yeah, there might be one more. I don't think that's all the Koku. Remember to count the Koku, kids. Alright, and then over here, Musketeer's army's changed a little bit. He made a couple adjustments. We'll see how they go. We have two bow samurai, two bow warrior monks, two Yari samurai, and two Yari Ashigaru, three Yari samurai, three katana samurai, and no dachi with one level of veterancy. Excellent. And we have three light cavalry and two Yari cavalry. So once again, based on the type of units being brought, I'm going to give the cavalry advantage to Ludwig, ignoring the katana cavalry because they're just basically mounted infantry, based on their uses. So yeah, once again, the cavalry advantage is squarely in Ludwig's hand. The melee advantage is, depending on how they're used, the melee advantage can be a coin toss unless Ludwig uses his nodachis effectively. It's a coin toss. The ranged advantage obviously is in Musketeer's hand. If he's able to force the usage of his bows. I have a feeling, though, based that Ludwig brought a rush army, Musketeer's not going to have too many chances to use his bows as skirmishers. So he's going to have to use them probably as first strike and then retreat them and use them as a... well, really use them as bait, use them as just shoot into the blob kind of troops. I don't really know how else this could work. Once again, sort of moving up his army as one big organized rank, which can be good. Now he's being aggressive, and he will be sending a Yari Samurai, unfortunately not on rapid advance. So, to try to get the shrine, which isn't a bad idea. Now, Ludwig is going to try to pressure into the bows, because Musketeer has them out in front. But again... yeah, you really, against an army like this, you really need to be an aggressive skirmisher, and you have to aggressively force off his cavalry. So sending one Yari Samurai out might not be enough. Now, fortunately for him, his Yari Samurai does manage to scare away the cavalry. Musketeer seems to think he has an opportunity here, and he's running up. Is he going to try to hit the swords? Nope, they're retreating, so he's going to try to hit the katana cavalry. Not a bad idea, but then he's going to pull back, and that's going to... see, that little move there where he pulls back and then re-engages, that is going to cost him a large portion of the charge bonus. Now, these katana cavalry will not do well in melee against the rest of the cavalry, but unfortunately, due to the lack of backup... holy cow... I mean, they're only light cavalry, but so this one here lost 9 in the initial charge, 1 and none. So not a bad trade. The rest of them are doing okay. Yeah, haven't lost anybody other than those 8. But yeah, because he doesn't have his spears up with him, this cavalry is now Musketeer's cavalry is basically trapped and is going to get absolutely roasted. Now, Ludwig does something very well, does not commit all his cavalry into the cavalry engagement. He's going to send 2 Yaris and send the rest into his bows. At this point, he's just trying to cause trouble. It's the only thing I could think of calling it, is he's just going to try to cause as much disruption. Does get a couple pinned in by these Yari Samurai, who do get a good number of kills with in those couple brief engagement. Now Musketeer's trying to save his cavalry, trying to save his lines really by engaging with his spears into the cavalry. Not a bad idea. Unfortunately, he's still not going to get enough, and
our men are running from
Musketeer is going to lose all his cavalry. These Yari Samurai are again not rapidly advancing. Now look at this! That is aggressive play from a general, bringing him right into the fray against spears and enemy cavalry and bows. Brings him in, pops a rally, and then retreats. And it's gonna not save too much of his cavalry, but it's very aggressive. I gotta give credit for aggressive behavior, that's for sure. One of the monks pops off a war cry here. Not a bad time because the opponent's morale was in the red. Unfortunately for Ludwig, that is not going to rout any units, at least not right away. Now, this is where it pains me to say it, but you shouldn't be retreating like this. At this point, you have a blob of infantry here. Send one up to stop the rest. The Nodachis are only charging. They don't have bonsai. So use those Naginata monks you have. Use those Yari Ashigaru in Yari Wall or Yari Samurai, because use something to stop the charge. I mean, you have what does Ludwig have for cavalry? He's got one Yari cavalry that's just finally come back, and it's at he's lost 11 men. This one here is a Katana cavalry at almost half strength, and he's got a Katana cavalry over here at 2/3 strength, or sorry, 3/4 strength. So you can afford to sacrifice one unit of spears to slow down the enemy. I mean, these Katana samurai, they'll do fairly well against these monks, as long as his general's close and can pop a rally. So Musketeer isn't out of options. The problem with retreating, though, is that your melee defense goes to 0. So the only thing keeping you alive is your armor. And Yari Ashigaru have 2 armor. So this unit of Yari Ashigaru will start routing soon if they're not careful. He's already lost his Katana Samurai. They've just routed. Or they're about to rout. So to me it appears that he's clicking and dragging multiple units and now trying to run away, and this is playing into the hands of a rush army. Ludwig basically has Musketeer on the ropes, and really this infantry battle could have gone either way. But based on the fact that he started retreating, and now his general's in the melee fight, which is a bad place for a general you gotta treat him like a leadership general from an Avatar Conquest. Does get the rally off, but his general will fall, being stuck in melee like that against that number of spears and the cavalry, and the actual swords too. Cavalry eventually in melee against swords will die. And these Yari Samurai are standing there just waiting to get attacked, unfortunately. Yeah, there's not a lot to say. I would have been targeting my opponent's general by now with my bows, because he's just there, needs to die. That's the best way to do it. Neither generals managed to get into stand and fight. But again, Ludwig has basically got this one now wrapped up. He's managed to surround his opponent and started a chain rout. Popped a rally now, and this battle is going to be over. Did pop bonsai. I'm sorry, that was bonsai. Very late pop on the bonsai, so they're unbreakable, but it's, again, use bonsai when you're charging. So anyways, there goes the infantry fight. There's only some melee units left, and here we'll get in a nice view of that cavalry running down the bows, bravely standing in the face of all that cavalry and infantry, and they're gonna go flying. I always like that. There's one unit routed, broken, and they're gonna shatter right away. More units routing. That is going to be the battle of these bow samurai, bravely trying to fight, and those monks don't care. That's the end of the battle. So, well, I hope you enjoyed. It looks like Ludwig wins his second match. Oh, there's the cavalry that ran away. They're back. So Ludwig wins. He'll advance on in the winner's bracket. Musketeer will drop down into the loser's bracket and continue on from there. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know I did. It's great to be doing some Shogun 2 battles again, and it's kind of neat. commentating on battles that aren't mine. There are a lot more battles coming from the Shogunate Total War Tournament 2020. Both myself and TripleZHacker will be commentating on battles. We split up the first round evenly between the two of us as well. Make sure to check out the Shogunate YouTube channel, as there will be some battles and updates popping up on that channel. So anyways, please drop a like, a subscribe if possible. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.